Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Campbell, please let the record reflect that all of the trustees are present. Do you have any correspondence?
No, sir, I have none. Thank you.
All right, before I go any further, a little housekeeping. Comment cards in the back. If you have anything for public comments going to come up later, please fill this out and bring it up. Okay, it looks like first on the agenda is then going to be personnel actions. Matt Taylor, is Caden Sampson in the room? All right, Caden, come on up. Mr. Taylor, tell us about Mr. Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Tonight I'm presenting to the Board of Trustees Caden Sampson for consideration of employment with the Union Township Service Department. Mr. Sampson is a graduate of West Claremont High School. Following graduation, Mr. Sampson attended the University of Cincinnati. Mr. Sampson has a background in public works, having spent the last 2.5 years at the Service Department as a seasonal/summer help. Mr. Sampson has successfully completed all pre-employment phases for the Maintenance Worker 1 position. I would like to request the board appoint Caden Sampson to the position of Maintenance Worker 1 in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement at the probationary rate. Mr. Sampson's starting date would be September 11th, 2024.
Great. Mr. Sampson, you've made it through our rigorous process. Congratulations.
Thank you
This
very
will be
much.
the last hurdle to get over. It's usually the easy part of the whole thing. What are your thoughts so far? Any questions for us?
Nothing really. I'm just proud to be here. I'm very thankful. I'm honored to be here. So excited to get to work.
Well, great. Okay. Well, it looks like we're going to be glad to have you. Mr. Logue, anything?
We're fortunate to have you. And I know Mr. Taylor and the crew in the Service Department, eager to have you on board and get started as well. So thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dills?
Caden, you got your family here, right?
I do.
Yeah, man, introduce, yeah. Who you
Got
got?
my buddy John here. Got my parents Manny and Jason. Got my grandpa Bruce. Got my twin sisters here, Kendall and Kylie. My great grandma Thelma and my grandma Kim. So a lot of them here tonight.
Love it, love it, love it. It's good support, good showing out.
Yeah.
You've been with us for 2.5 years, part-time, right?
Mhm.
Appreciate you sticking it out. It's a great department and good crew to work for, work in, and we're excited to have you.
Thank you very much.
But I think you already know that, but listen, I know 2.5 years being here part-time, you paid your dues,
Yes,
and
sir.
you're more than, you've done more than enough, so glad to have
Thank
you
you
on
very
board.
much.
Absolutely, yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely, Caden.
Very good. Okay, Mr. Logue, I would like a motion to hire Caden Sampson for the position of Maintenance Worker 1 in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement with an effective date of September 11, 2024, pending successful completion of a post-employment drug screen.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Sir.
Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Guys, so let's do a photo. And with that, let's go to public comments. So I have two so far. Again, if anybody else, public comment, fill out one of these cards and bring it up. Mr. Hicks. Mr. Thomas? Mr. Thomas is going first. Guess you guys have this worked out. Name, address for the record, please.
Bill Thomas, 838 Dorothy.
Great. 5 minutes. You have the floor.
So I'm not going to take up a lot of time. You gentlemen ran on a platform of transparency. I've talked to two of the three of you about my issues with that transparency. Been very disappointed not knowing some of the things that have come up. John not being told about the discrepancies and kind of being thrown under the bus at the last minute, that trustee meeting. I feel like some of us have been made fools. We went out to bat for you guys to get you elected. And some of the things that I feel like we're fighting now are the things that we were working against with the previous trustee board. So I don't feel that it's fair to give anyone a pass when we rip them apart for doing some of the stuff that I'm seeing happening now. So I hope you guys take some serious consideration and reflection on how you're running things, because the things that are coming up are just, it's very disappointing. And those of us in the community that are talking about it, they don't want to come up here and talk about it, but I hate hearing the fact that you guys are being ran through the mud. We voted for better, supported better, petitioned for better than what we're seeing now. So please give some thought and into what's going on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Hicks, come on up. Name and address for the record, please.
Chris Hicks, 444 Woodward Court, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45255.
Thank you. You have the floor. 5 minutes, please. Go ahead.
I'm here specifically about zoning case 1-24Z that you heard at your last meeting. Before I jump into that case, which involved an area of bars, restaurants, an outdoor music venue, and a designated outdoor refreshment area, all big things for us, big changes, okay? I want to talk about a little bit about what Mr. Thomas said about what's happened to this board, where people ran on platforms of transparency, openness, and community engagement, and now we have people rampantly recusing themselves from votes because they apparently are in financial deals with developers. It's a problem, and it's a problem that didn't start here. The pot shops was the same thing. You snuck through the pot shop over by Summerside Elementary in a backroom deal that was never public, and then you had to have, we only found out about pot shops because you had to have a hearing because one got messed up because they did it on the wrong lot. Otherwise, that would have probably been secret from us, the citizens, as well. But specific to case 1.24Z, I'm reminded in particular of Mr. Logue claiming that former trustees were getting bags of cash from developers for their votes. Well, I guess I could say something good about two of you guys, because you're getting bags of cash from developers, but not for your votes, because you're recusing. How dumb is it as a trustee, and who would be in a trustee role that then would commingle themselves with developers that are going to have business before the trustees? Specifically on case 1-24Z, you guys can rationalize it all you want, but the statute, and Mr. Becker, I looked into what you talked about last night, has nothing in there about it automatically taking effect if you take no action. What it says is the Board of, in your own zoning resolution, says the Board of Trustees shall either adopt or deny the recommendation of the Zoning Commission. And what happened last month was neither. I don't know how you have a motion and a second when you only have one trustee. I don't know how you have a vote by a trustee when 504.11 says any motion or resolution needs to be approved by a majority of the trustees. And AG opinions say if a majority of the trustees can't act on something, you can't do action. There's a reason for that, gentlemen. Because when you end up having elected officials actually in commingled relationships with developers, it's going to be a problem. And what was sad is, Mr. Dills, I know about what your conflict is, but not from you, because other people told me about it. Not that you were transparent. Mr. Logue, to this day, Mr. Campbell and Mr. Becker were kind enough to actually show their faces at a Union Township Republican Central Committee meeting, something you and Mr. Dills don't do anymore. But I asked them, do you guys know what Mr. Logue's issue was? And they didn't know. I don't know. You ran, one of these things says, demanding transparency for the people, Michael Logue, demanding transparency for the people. How much time do I have left?
138.
So I would like to stand here for the next minute and 38, because I can't stay for your whole meeting. And I want to give that time, it's a silent protest if it needs to be, but I would like Mr. Logue to please tell us, the citizens, what is the conflict of interest that caused you to have to recuse from a vote on Fernando Cruz's business venture in Union Township? Say something. Remember, you're demanding transparency. You accused other trustees of taking bags of cash. It appears you are actually taking bags of cash. Is that the case? Say something. Why? How much time do I have left?
53
53.
seconds.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Go
I
ahead.
do not have a direct conflict, but as I said, in an abundance of caution, and to prevent even the appearance of a conflict of interest, I abstain from the vote.
What's the thing that caused the abundance of caution necessity? Just tell the truth, Michael. You ran on a platform saying other people were liars taking bags of cash from developers, and somebody asked you to tell the truth. Be transparent. Be what your bullshit flyer says you are. Demanding transparency. Why? How much time?
You're at 5 seconds.
I think this is the reason why, Republican or Democrat, so many people are disgusted with our institutions. Because men such as you, I'll refrain from some guys, but men such as you get into office with bullshit, lies about other people, and then sit up there and when asked, please just be transparent, won't do it. And the same to you, Mr. Dills. You should have been transparent in the meeting. Not people like me telling people what your conflict is because nobody else did. I know my time is up.
It's okay, I'll respond. I don't have a problem with it. So, I said I had a personal issue, that's why I abstained, not recused. There's a slight difference. But, no, I didn't have to either. I asked our law director, and I didn't have to, I just chose to. So the deal is not with Cruz, it's with Lance Sizemore, but you already know that. And it's also, he's the developer and he's the owner of the property in the deal with the CIC. Cruz is just leasing the property from Lance, but you already know that, I'm sure. So he's not buying the property, doesn't own it, nothing like that. But, I was advised it's probably wise to not vote on something that could benefit a potential business partner. So that's why I chose to abstain. But he's not buying the property. It's with Lance Sizemore in the works, but you already know that. So that's why. And I don't have a problem with explaining it, but when I voted, or when I made my decision, I said I abstained for, I have a personal relationship, so that's why. So I don't have a problem with it. So it is what it is. That's all I have to
So
say.
if you got approval from the law director, how come Mr. Becker, Mr.
I
Campbell
can't-
said
I
it
can't-
was
I
a
can't-
complete surprise to them that you were going to
Well,
abstain, recuse, what have
I'm
you?
not going to tell them how I'm going to vote before a vote. That would be illegal, and you know that, sir.
No, it
So-
wouldn't. That's
I'm
normal.
not
That-
talking to my
that's
colleagues
cleared
how I'm going to.
beforehand. Okay, Mr. Logue, would you like to have the transparency that Mr. Dills just had?
I think he hits the nail on the head. The applicant was Mr. Sizemore.
So the
I
reason
have
why
no
you're saying,
relationship
so you
there.
you didn't have to recuse either because your smoke and mirrors
Out of
thing
an
is
abundance
that
of caution.
it was Mr. Sizemore, not Mr. Cruz, and therefore it was okay. Enjoy your bags of cash, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Any other comments? Any other comment cards? Last call for public comment. Seeing none, we're moving on. Chief Clements, Fire EMS report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Becker. In the month of August, Union Township Fire Department responded to 152 fire and service calls, 566 emergency medical details, made contact with 533 patients, transporting 422 of those patients to local hospitals. The fire department completed 1,621 hours of training, were involved in 18 public education details, completed 193 life safety inspections, and completed 2 inspections with the Claremont County Building Department. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Any questions, comments for the chief? Mr. Logue?
I have none.
Mr. Dills, anything?
All right, Chief, well done. Good job. Appreciate it, sir.
All right, Chief Reese, Police Department report.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. In the month of August, the Communications Center handled 4,952 calls for service for police, fire, and EMS, and 5,170 total calls. Our records area handled 421 juvenile and adult court-related documents that they processed. They also handled 135 court notices requiring officers' personal appearance in court. They processed 16 Rule 16s for the prosecutor's office. They issued 1 vendor permit. They handled 147 records requests, and they redacted 50 body camera videos. In the area of public affairs, officers conducted 2 public relations events. In August, one was at the West Claremont High School back-to-school program, and the other was the Union Township Police Night Out. In the area of operations, our patrol division took 325 incident reports, 94 crash reports, made 714 traffic stops, issued 175 citations, 532 written warnings, made 73 criminal arrests, 105 traffic arrests, and served 102 warrants. Our Honor Guard in the month of August participated in 3 events. They were the Back to Heroes Rumble Car Show, and they displayed the colors at the Pierce Township Police Night Out, as well as the Union Township Police Night Out. In the area of training, our officers attended 128 hours of training in the month of August, and we currently have 1 police officer position open within the police department. And that concludes my report, sir.
Chief Reese, recently Union Township was made news for being the heroes of Greater Cincinnati for busting up a ring of car thieves and gun shop thefts, one of which, their last one, was here, or the last attempt was at the Sportsman Warehouse here in Eastgate. Tell us the story about that, and the people who got caught, are they the same ones that were hitting Florence and hitting Newtown and hitting all these areas? So these punks are in jail and that's the end of it. Tell us the story.
Well, I appreciate you asking, sir. First of all, I'm extremely proud of our road patrol. They worked very hard. On the morning of August 25th, it was a Sunday morning, in the early morning hours, just as sun was breaking, we got an alarm drop at the Sportsman Warehouse. We were fortunate enough to have a couple of units that were close by. Upon their arrival, they noticed a vehicle leaving the business at a high rate of speed. They attempted to stop the vehicle at the intersection of Eastgate Boulevard and Eastgate South. The car crashed. The people in the car fled on foot. Wound up being 4 juveniles. One of the juveniles was apprehended right there at Eastgate Boulevard at the Frisch's, and the other 2 were found behind Dick's Sporting Goods by a few of the officers on duty. What's troubling is that all 4 of them were extremely young juveniles from the city. We did manage to capture all 4 of them. Unfortunately, not before one of them stole a vehicle back in the Ivy Point area, but eventually at the end of the day we did recover the vehicle. And I'm happy to say that with the cooperation of the juvenile court system and Judge Schreiber in particular, we're able to keep all 4 of them locked up. They're currently in juvenile detention in Claremont County. To answer your question about whether or not it is related, we strongly believe it is related to several other similar instances, gun thefts and break-ins around the tri-state area. And we're actually working with Cincinnati Police Department, some departments in northern Kentucky. And I'm quite confident that we're going to put a serious dent in the ring. So we'll see where the cards fall when the investigation's done, sir.
That's very, very good. That is a great story. So I think the message here, the takeaway is, if you're going to do the crimes here in Union Township, you're going to do the time at the county jail. So hopefully they won't be back. And I know the long arm of Union Township goes all the way. Was it Texas? You had an ATM, Fifth Third? Was it Texas?
Last summer?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you guys will go anywhere, any place to apprehend your people, the bad guys. Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Logue, any questions, comments?
Comment, yes. So this morning, I go walking out to the driveway to start a commute, and my wife's black Suburban is missing. And I call dispatch, and cruisers and supervisors get dispatched because it's very clear that when I had Bible study last night with a group of men, that my wife did not park the vehicle somewhere else. It was in the driveway when Bible study ended last night, and this morning it was gone. So, it was seen on Ring camera driving through our front yard at about 1:42 a.m. last night. That was not myself or my wife or any of the Bible study attendees. And the cruisers showed up, and we were able to ping the car and find it in Walnut Hills this morning. They had eyes on it. Our detectives had eyes on it by probably an hour and a half after I made the phone call. And luckily, no damage, and we were able to recover it and get it back. And just incredible to see the team here at Union Township PD at work. Lieutenant Blankenship was on it like a bulldog from the very beginning. And, you know, and everyone that falls under him. But, you know, again, just to be a citizen in that position, having something like that stolen from you. CPD is saying that downtown, they're doing stuff where they, once they get in a vehicle, they can plug in like a tablet, and it can boost basically a number of different vehicles. So, security for residents of Union Township, but like you're saying, the long arm of the law, once they apprehend the suspects, which they've got a lot of good leads on and good images on, and those flock cameras that we recently bought that are getting deployed everywhere, that picks up your license plates and can tell you the traveling location of vehicles. They'll be able to arrest them, apprehend them, and bring people like that back to Claremont County Jail for processing. So I just wanted to share that. I think that's a message that at least resonates with me, but resonates with residents who say, you know, when we're around 275, we're around Route 32, we're around that area where, you know, this downtown activity comes out. And that's why it's important what happens in Hamilton County and the city of Cincinnati and the way in which we are addressing that. So, yeah, just wanted to share that, but great work by Union Township PD. So, thank you, sir.
It's a great story. Yeah. Worst thing that's happened to me is a mailbox getting wiped out. Mr. Dills, any questions, comments?
Yeah. Chief, just well done. I don't need to say anymore, so just good job. Well done. Yeah, it's good. Well done.
Okay, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. In the Cemetery Division, from August 1st through the 31st, 10 burials were performed, generating $5,650. 11 resident graves were purchased, generating $7,700. 1 non-resident grave was purchased for $1,700. 4 columbarium niches were purchased, generating $6,400. The total amount generated for the period was $26,352. In the road division, a total of 13 potholes were repaired on 20 roads, but and then roadside mowing and trimming continue on various township roads, and 20 work orders were completed on various township roads and properties. And then in the Parks Division, park staff continues the daily maintenance on township buildings and parks, and repairs were made to the slide at Mount Carmel Playground set. And that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you for that, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Logue, anything?
No, appreciate it,
Mr.
Mr.
Dills?
Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Taylor, first off, you know, to hire Caden tonight, for him to be part-time for 2.5 years and basically, you know, pay his dues, tells me what kind of tight ship you run, you know, the camaraderie, and for him to want to wait in line basically to get a full-time position, it says a lot about your department, that he's willing to be that patient. So just good job there. And then I don't know what it has been the past month. I've gotten quite a few residents reach out about, you know, potholes or cracks in before. As soon as I send it over to you, it seems like your team is just like on it within 24, 48 hours. So just wanted to commend your team on that. Just a job well done. So
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So appreciate you.
Mr. McCormick.
Thank you. For the month of August, in terms of inspections, we had 80 enforcement inspections, 13 complaints, 4 unfounded complaints, 7 warning citations, 1 15-day noncompliance letter, 1 30-day violation letter, 10 cases resolved, 375 illegal signs removed, 7 miscellaneous issues, 5 violations monthly total. Re-inspections of violations, we had 11, and nuisances, we had 3. In terms of permit activity, we had 4 commercial permits, 6 changes of use, 8 signs, 1 temporary sales permit, 5 single-family homes, 1 multifamily dwelling permit for 268 units, and this is for the northeast corner of the old high school site. 5 additions, 7 decks, 5 accessory permits, 20 pool permits, for 62 total permits for the month and a revenue of $61,671. And the fire department related revenue on the permits was $1,150. And that concludes our report.
Very good. Thank you for the update. Mr. Love, any questions, comments?
No, I appreciate it, Mr. McCormick.
Mr. Dills?
No, good job. Good report. Thank you.
Lisa Orr, Community Engagement Manager. Come on up. What's going on in Union Township?
I just wanted to give you an overview over the last 90 days for community engagement. We utilize Facebook. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the spring we started with 4.9 thousand followers at the beginning, and then we raised it to 5.6 thousand. We're now up to 5.9 thousand followers, which is pretty great. It continues to grow as our post frequency and our engagement tactics improve. So we look forward to that continuing. Our current audience remains mostly women, and the Union Township resident followers has raised to approximately 45%, which is great. And we continue to try to engage our residents more than out. We get a lot of Batavia, Williamsburg, and then Anderson, Cincinnati area. We've maintained our response data and social reach, and our improvement plan is to utilize stories on social media and start connecting to Instagram to engage a younger demographic so that we're not just reaching out to those above the age of 35 and families. This year, the summer concert series was a success with a season of over 300 participants engaged in most of our events. Combining the farmers market and concerts created a great symbiosis for foot traffic. Many people either came for the farmers market and then stayed for the concert, or a little bit of the concert, or they came for the concert and then came early for the farmers market. There were a lot of farmers market bags around the concerts this year. So the intent is to grow the farmers market in the upcoming years and continue that layout and footprint. I think it made a really great success for both parties. Madcap puppet performances were new this year and created a great outcome of over 100 residents per show. These events were an opportunity to engage younger families, more the toddler crowd versus the Friday night events, which is a little bit older. The Pickleball Slam was held in August and had 18 teams of Union Township residents hosting the event at the new Klepper Park pickleball courts. Provided a great footprint for the event. Participants and viewers had nothing but praise and loved the organization and playing time of the event. So we plan to continue to maintain and create events that engage a variety of residents. The farmers market is continuing, so the last date is Friday, September 20th. We have 2 more farmers markets left. If you'd like to go out and get your produce, get your baked goods, get them now. I do encourage residents to stay connected on social media and the township website for information about events. We are looking forward to the family movie night this Saturday, September 14th at 8:15 p.m. at the Veterans Memorial Park. The annual Mount Moriah Cemetery Lantern Lighting Ceremony, Saturday, September 21st from 5 to 7:30. The annual Union Township Fireworks Celebration on Saturday, September 28th on Eastgate South Drive from 4:30 to 9. And the Fire Prevention Open House at Station 51 on Sunday, October 6th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We are planning the Park Ambassador Orientation Training in coordination with fire, police, and service departments. So that will be happening soon, as well as a park cleanup that we are considering planning for Saturday, October 5th at 9 a.m. at Veterans Memorial Park and Klepper Park, just to keep updates on our parks and make sure that it is a safe and happy place for everyone to go enjoy. So we encourage all volunteers to come out and help. And that's all I have.
Awesome. You know, I have noticed quite a bit of change, very positive change since we've hired you. the, the community really appreciates it, and, we up here certainly appreciate you, and you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Logan, anything?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Becker. Yeah, absolutely on that, Mark. Everything across the board that you just spoke on has improved from where we, started last year, which is just exciting to see. You've totally knocked out of the park executing on the summer concert series in combination with the farmers market, and just doubling the venue and the amount of people coming out. So that's awesome to see. I think that's exactly what the board had envisioned, and to see that coming to life is a great credit to you, so thank you. Love the direction to continue the positive growth from followers and the resident followers. That's a high growth rate, so that's awesome. I think growing into that stories and Instagram, those are all things where, again, we're leveraging those recent tools that we brought online for more transparency, like through the website, giving you those type of tools to get them communicated out to the residents and have more people engaged and involved. And I think that's awesome. I mean, it's the fun stuff that you do, but it's the very fundamental touch back to what are the core services that the township is doing, and being able to be transparent on that. And speaking of that, park board and park ambassadors, do you still have positions open for park ambassadors?
Always sign
Okay,
up.
great. And that's a place where people can volunteer, they can share good news about the township, and they can also work or brainstorm or give feedback. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. That's exactly what we look for. That allows us to have, I think, build into a stronger community fabric where we can hear people and it can be actionable. So, awesome.
Anyone that's interested can sign up on our website. There is a page for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great work. Keep it up.
Mr. Mills?
Yeah, Ms. Sarr, I've noticed, first off, I agree with 100% what Mr. Becker and Mr. Logue said. Just the engagement, involvement, and community, just communication outreach, top notch. Like it's the all time we've ever had. And I've also noticed, because I pay attention to the surrounding townships, what they're doing and all that, I've noticed we're the trendsetters. I've noticed that there's another township that they're implementing a park and recreations committee. I've noticed that there's another township implementing a fishing tournament. We're kind of the trendsetters now in the area. We're starting to get there, so I love it. So good stuff. Keep it up. Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wright, administrator report, please.
Thank you, sir. I'll be brief. The basketball court renovations in Klepper have been completed. I think if you haven't seen them, you should go look at them. The results speak for themselves. They look outstanding. Really proud of how that turned out. Kudos to Mr. Taylor for managing that project. Related to Klepper Park, we got a couple of items we'll be bringing to the board here soon. We're working with the county to advance a 12-inch water line loop service through the park, which will also assist in offsetting the cost to get sufficient volume of water there for the recently recently awarded splash pad project. So there'll be a joint MOU that comes up in October. We'll have the CIC, the township, and the water and sewer district on that. So there is one item tonight. There's a purchase order for Choice One Engineering. We're going to go ahead as part of that. We would do the engineering for that, since they're going to reimburse for the bulk of the project. That's what the MOU says on that, so you'll see that a little later. But that will supply, actually it does a couple of things. There's issues with the water service down there. It's an older service down on that portion of Barg Salt. So having that loop main through there will increase reliability for all the water district customers, and really it's a quality of life issue. And then, if we can couple onto the back of that through the easement and then get our water volume for the splash pad, it'll make for a successful project. Speaking of that, we just received guidance that it's going to be managed by the Office of Management and Budget to the state of Ohio and not ODNR as I originally thought. That there is a submittal process. You have to apply. Mr. McCormick's working on the paperwork for that now, but the funds are allocated. You have to have been a eligible project to submit. That's just how they're going to track the project. So we're working on that now. Construction's commenced on the Champions Way project, the Waterline Storm and Road project, and then we also had a pre-construction meeting with Ford Development Corporation, the Sewer District, the CIC, to advance the sanitary sewer. So just a little bit of perspective. When I started here in January, I believe we're about 30% complete on the road plans, Mr. Taylor? 25% complete, maybe. So this has really been a Herculean effort by Mr. Taylor and Mark to advance this project to where we are full build, turn and burn, and to be completed really before the end of the year to put that site into productive use. So they should be commended for their efforts in that. And the sewer line is about a 120-day build, and then there's some testing period that's associated with that. So they believe that by February of '25, it will be online, and the roadway well before then. There's a bargaining unit memorandum of understanding this evening for the patrol officers. They want to move to 12-hour shifts. We believe it will be beneficial for them and the township because we increase the number of police officers on the road at any given time, and it also brings us more in line with what other agencies in the surrounding area are offering. So kudos to them for being willing to work with us on that. We have a piece of legislation this evening for the establishment of a CRA area. This is in line with Senate Bill 33. If we do not do one, there is the ability of the county to do one on top of that, and this is sort of just protecting our ability to offer incentivized housing investment, reinvestment, and commercial reinvestment. It's just another tool in our economic development toolbox, and the change of Senate Bill 33 allows us to do that. So just a couple of other items here. You saw a permit that Mr. McCormick referenced on the Glasty High School site. I think we've closed on everything except one track over there. So that is outstanding, that has been completed and been taken down, and the developer should be commended for their long-term commitment to the site and the township in that. Work continues on the Benning landslide repair project. If you've been down there, there's a lot of pavement and then a gap. They'll resurface the last little bit once the slide repair is completed. We did also attend a joint meeting with the county engineer's office about Elmont Drive and Old 74. We're going to try and partner with them on an OPWC project to hook our project in with their project and then access OPWC grant funds to do that. So that we appreciate that collaborative partnership. Another little commendation to Mr. Taylor. He was able to really work on our paving program this year, and we had enough excess that left over that we're going to repave significant portions of Bark Salt Run. And Mr. Taylor, that's going to commence next week, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And as part of that, there'll be a significant, everybody knows Bark Salt, the hillside, kind of down where all the vegetation cover is, sort of as you go down the hill, significant portion of that is deteriorated. And then we'll be able to mill, that'll be a mill and fill overlay on that. And then there'll be some additional paving as you get toward Round Bottom. That's really, we're going to address the worst parts now, and some other base repairs up and down the road. So that's outstanding, and with that, that will exhaust all of our paving program funds. Just a couple of Civic Center items here. We're going to advance some pedestrian improvements here and adjust the site configuration for what we saw and observed during the farmers market. We're going to advance that in phases just to minimize disruption to the overall activity on the site. This is a busy place. You know, we have senior center is very busy. We have people in and out of the building, West Claremont, so we'll see. Now's a good time to get started on that now that the summer season's really over with. At Veterans Park, you may have noticed some activity. So Veterans Park, the work on the pickleball courts are underway. We've removed the heave net posts, and the patchwork has been done there. And the actual ceiling contractor will come back and fill the cracks and then do the same thing, basically be the same color and design as at Klepper. Is that correct, Mr. Joe? And then the basketball courts at Veterans are going to be resurfaced this year as well, and that starts Thursday of this week, weather permitting?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, Wednesday, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So even better, so that'll be a mill out and replacement of asphalt. And as I discussed previously, we're gonna let that surface weather a little bit to let the petroleum products cook out of that, and then we'll come back, with a maintenance top coat similar to what we did at Klepper. So, that'll be positive progress on that. Park bulletin boards were shipped. I think Lisa's working on some graphics for those, and that'll be a nice improvement to the parks as well. I do want to commend Chief Reese and his department on their work on the Sportsman's Warehouse break-in and how quickly those suspects were apprehended and just the good work that our officers do day in and day out. And it's just a testament to the department, so. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you for that report, Mr. Wright. Anything, Mr. Logue?
I have one comment, if Mr. Wright has anything to share kind of additionally too. And it's outside of Union Township, so rightfully you may not have a comment necessarily directly on it, but there's a current PD, I believe, that's going forward in the village of Batavia for like 795 houses adjoining the Claremont County Airport. And I know that that's getting a lot of communication or traction with the residents and the airport, because the airport has an economic output. There's some studies here, $27.9 million or so annually, and over 270 jobs. Yes, it's right outside of Union Township, but it's probably, what, a mile and a half from the Union Township line. Anyway, the airport is saying that if this 795 home site project goes through and moves forward with high density like that, so close to the airport, it's going to impact what the FAA allows them to do for operations, et cetera. Anytime that you start to develop without a strategic kind of partnership with a plan for the airport, it can be an impact. So I guess more or less my question to Mr. Wright and to our board here is, should we care? Do we care? And if we do, is there anything that we should support? I know that the Batavia Township Trustees wrote a letter and shared it on their media pages, encouraging residents and people to attend. I believe it's like the September 17th meeting at the Village of Batavia, just to be informed as to what the vote is that goes before council. But just wanted to share that information, put it on your radar. I obviously have a history with the airport from being a flight instructor out there many years ago, and I heard from both state reps that they went and attended an all-call basically at the airport about 2 weeks ago, and Gene Schmidt and Adam Bird are looking at ways to support the airport. I think all county commissioners are out there as well too. It's a really unique thing in Ohio where there's an airport. Governor Rhodes did that. They said have an airport in every county in Ohio, but for Claremont County, we got things like Purina going on out near Williamsburg. If you extend our airport, which it can, by another 2,000 feet, you can start bringing in private jets, have more operations than what it's current day today. The other nearest private airport is Lunkin. So it is kind of unique and interesting to be able to have an airport there. But yeah, Mr. Wright, that's a loaded question in one sense. You can say something, you can comment, or we can take it as research, but just wanted to, I don't have an opportunity to talk with the board members, right? So it's an opportunity to talk with the board members and share that and put it on your radar at the same time.
The airport's in Batavia Township, I think. Or is it?
Is it technically Batavia
I
Township?
think it's Batavia Township. Yep, I think so.
Are you, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Wright.
No, I just, trying to get my geographical boundaries.
Are you wanting to, Mr. Logue, are you wanting to have an official statement from the board publicly? What are you thinking there?
I'm not leaning one way or the other right now. I'm just asking if you guys are tracking it, and what your general thoughts are. So it's my understanding that Village of Batavia annexed land from the township, and they're kind of moving something forward that, to me, it's kind of residents are talking about referendums if it doesn't, go their way type of thing. So just kind of reminds me of Miller Place back in the day here in one sense. But this is the airport, and that has a greater impact to all of Claremont County,
Agree with everything you said.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing of any tie-in with the airport. I heard about the development. I didn't hear about it potentially affecting the airport. So this is the first I'm hearing about it. So for that reason, I certainly wouldn't want to do anything tonight. I want to, kind of spend some time contemplating that.
Okay. Right, no, I'm not asking for anything
I
tonight.
don't
Just
think
wanna
I've
put it on
heard
your
any, is there any, we're getting off topic, but I haven't heard any positive feedback about that project at all, I don't think. Not any, so, but, yeah.
I think that's exactly it.
So,
And I don't know what incentives or tax that goes with it too, but that's one of those aspects where what I'm hearing is it's a tax abatement program to where the schools, the schools are harmed from the fact of more children, and they don't have the same resources coming in. They're gonna be asked to do more with less, but all the way through for the county service as well. Yeah, I don't know, Mr. Wright, if it's something that should be on our radar or not, but
I think, I think just referencing it, and then just it gives the opportunity for the board to put it on everybody's radar screen and kind of formulate their own opinion on it would probably be what I would do. And I know historically, we have not interjected in other communities' land use, but we also have a pretty good working relationship with Batavia Township. I think they're probably who we work with the most on kind of adjoining land use boundaries.
yeah,
Maybe Anderson every now and again. But
Yeah.
that's, a single-family house here, or, a lot there. Batavia's got more developable land
yeah.
that we share a boundary with. Just trying to think, the last project that we worked together with them on was probably down by Station 52. Nothing ever came of it, but it was a small infill subdivision.
And you're referencing Batavia Township though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Batavia
So-
Batavia Township. We have a good relationship with
Yeah.
them. I mean,
This is Village of
Village
Batavia's
of Batavia.
action, but that also, I think, presents, have we signed, or have we taken traction on getting a non-annexation agreement with the Village of Batavia for that reason?
Well, obviously, it's something that I think is not out of the realm of possibility, that we would want to maybe look for options to kind of guard against, potential intrusion. I mean, we were successful with the city of Milford in that. We've used, economic development projects to induce that, so
Offering them JEDs basically in
Yeah,
exchange
there's
for non-annexation.
things like that. Yeah, there's opportunities. But, I mean, unfortunately, and having, worn a hat in a city, the annexation process is tilted heavily toward, the municipality in lieu of the townships. I mean, I know that because I lived it for 2 years.
Yeah.
But, so.
That was a long 2 years.
Well, obviously, the board could have the perspective to do nothing, or support the project, or oppose the project in support of the airport, I guess, or do nothing. So, I just want to put on the radar of everyone.
All right, Mr. Dills, any thoughts on administrator reports?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Wright, you rattled off a lot of projects, a lot of things that we are doing, and especially our roads. Mr. Taylor killing it over there, good job. I just, when I first took office, I said, my first term, no taxes at all, none. We got slammed with, the auditor came up, the reassessments, we had a police levy, fire levy, a school levy, and it was 2021, and all the COVID nonsense that went with that and killed a lot of businesses. So the fact that we're doing, all of our roads are doing very well. We should have no failing roads now. Our parks, with especially Klepper Park, but now Veterans catching up as well. We haven't had a fire levy, no police levy. We're doing all of this, and I just want to commend our leadership for just really budgeting well, because a lot of times, you're in this position, your job is to, you're in your folks' position, your job is to run the fire, run the police, run the service, run the entire township, and then next thing you know, now you're supposed to have a finance major and budget. And so we're doing all this, a lot of good opportunity, a lot of good stuff happening. And from our end, from the township, I can't speak for the schools, can't speak for the auditor, but from our end, we've kept our promise, guys. We're doing all of this, and we're killing it, doing a good job, squeezing every penny we could find with not a single new tax on our end. So just our leadership, just want to say good job on that. So well done. That's all I got.
Let's move on to the consent agenda. So, Mr. Logue, I would like a motion for, I got a few items here, the approval of the minutes from the August 20th meeting, both the regular and the zoning minutes, as well as payments and the monthly financial report, all of which prepared by Mr. Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under the motion agenda, approval of purchase orders exceeding 15,000. What do we have there, Mr. Wright?
So the first thing we have is we have a purchase order for Total Quality Logistics we actually have two of them. One's for $26,847.66. The other one is for $26,123.44. Those are economic development reimbursement payments that are, through a reimbursement grant. And then we have the Choice One Engineering for $34,800 for the Klepper Waterline project. And just a little point of clarification, because I want to make sure everybody understands the work that goes into actually bringing that proposal. In order to bring that proposal forward, we had to have a qualification-based selection process whereby we put out qualifications, we solicit those, we get a whole bunch of proposals, and we rank them. Choice One ranked as the highest. They do a lot of work in the county. They've actually done waterline work, and I think this will be, that's why we're bringing the proposal to you. You cannot actually request over, for contracts expected to exceed a certain amount, you actually cannot request or make a determination based on like a number. You can't ask for a number when you do qualification-based selection. You have to choose them based on how qualified they are, and then you have to negotiate a fee proposal. And there's a team of three. It's Mr. Campbell, Mr. I, Mr. Taylor that rank each one of those proposals. So just a little bit of, coffee talk, or coffee table, facts there for you on how we do
Mr.
that.
I.
What's that?
Did you say Mr. I?
No, no,
Referring to
Mr.
yourself.
Campbell, Mr. Taylor,
Sorry.
and me, I.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Did I say Mr. I?
You did.
Wow, wow.
That's good.
Me,
That's
me, that's actually incorrect grammar, me. But there's, it's a little fun fact for people on how, you get those determinations and you have to go through that process or whatever, so.
Perfect.
Good catch, I'm sorry.
Mr. Lowe, could I have a motion to approve the purchase orders exceeding $15,000?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have none.
Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Luke?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mr. Wright, tell us about the MOU with the Union Township Police.
As I mentioned previously, Mr. Becker, this is just a memorandum with the Police Officers Association to establish 12-hour shifts for the patrol officers, and this would authorize me to execute the MOU. Basically, it's a one-year kind of learn period, see how we like it. Either party can work collectively if they don't like it to get out of it. Their contract's good for another year, I think, around 2025. So this is a good trial period for them. But again, putting them on 12-hour shifts puts them on par with all of their other peer communities. It actually puts more officers on the road at any given time, because if you look at it, you have two shifts now, an A and a B, and there's more officers on each shift. But it's the same number of hours worked per year, the way that it works out, so.
Makes sense to me. Mr. Lowe, could I have a motion to approve the MOU as described by Mr. Wright?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
For one, just,
Go ahead.
I've heard that, for a while, officers have been interested in this shift, so I'm happy to be able to support the will of the police on this, so, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, talked to the union president. Seems like overwhelming support for it. And I like the one-year idea. And whoever came up with that, nice. In case it doesn't work out, that's all right. We'll just go back to what it was. So, Chief, I assume you're good with it, and that's the general consensus?
Yes, sir.
Perfect, love it. Good deal.
I think we're good. Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Luke?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under the legislative agenda, Mr. Wright, tell us about resolution
So
20.
the first resolution is 2024-47.
Yeah, that one.
And I have to, I guess, Mr. Campbell, just a question. We don't have a purchase order on that because we wanted to, do we do a purchase order on that?
No.
Not yet, we'll do the resolution. So typically, this is an ARPA fund resolution. These are form resolutions. We get the prescribed form, the long form that this is what we're supposed to adopt for each ARPA expense. We're down to the last $60-ish thousand. We've gotten a whole lot of great projects out of it. One of the things that, in looking at, that we do not have in this township is, dedicated storage specifically for records. And, as you know, every week, every month, you guys get folders and folders and folders and paper. And we just continue to dig the hole while we're standing in it with regard to records. And so one of the things we have is we have records everywhere. We don't have a lot of property. to build that on. However, at 52, it's out of the way. We have a location where we can do that, and we were able to identify a pre-built structure. Basically, it's a kit structure that comes in, it's on a slab, gives us the opportunity to improve it over time. This would be about a $73,416 project for the slab in the building. Of that, about 60-something thousand dollars, the remainder of the ARPA money gets encumbered, which, as you know, we have to encumber before the end of this year. And it would be located at Station 52.
Buxton, is that correct?
Buxton, yes. We have 4 or 5 acres there, Chief, is that right? It's kind of out of the way, right off the edge of the parking lot. There's already improvements there. We have plenty of power. We can get power to it. We won't have to add a whole bunch of, pavement. It's literally just a slab in the building. So, that's it.
Mr. Logue, may I have a motion to approve Resolution 2024-47?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Well, I have some discussion.
I do as well. So you're going to go first?
Go ahead, Mr.
Oh,
Phillips.
Mr. Ray, just for transparency's sake, I'm just round numbers, but ballpark, you said 60-ish thousand is covered under ARPA, so that doesn't.
And about 13,000 in other funds.
So 13,000 is coming out of the general for it. So, look, I see the same folks here at every meeting, so I know you guys are all engaged. I bet probably most of you have not been downstairs, and it's every single room is basically filled with closets and closets and closets of paperwork dating back to
We have zoning files back to the 50s.
the 50s. So you can imagine what those rooms look like. And then there's a filing cabinet up here. It's like an island. It's a big island right in front of Mr. Campbell's office and Ms. R's office, and of more just files upon files. And so this makes sense, but I like to try to solve problems for not only today, but for future. Perfect example of that is, for example, Klepper Park. We all thought, well, there's a big dollar amount to spend ARPA funds on the parks. However, for the next 20 years, no matter who sits in these 3 seats, they're not going to have to worry about our playground or parks or our pickleball courts because they're covered under warranty next 20 years. So I think, in my opinion, I think this needs to happen from dated back to the 50s. I'm a big proponent of this, and we're too big of a township to have that much clutter of junky paperwork. It needs to be dressed right, and better organized. And so not only solves it now, but for the future. And so I like it. I think it's a good idea. So that's my personal opinion.
Mr. Logan, thoughts?
Mr. Dills hit it.
Okay.
I think I share the same perspective. So I think it's a simple way to move forward. And once we can find ways to reduce paper, we can get it organized, get it moved, and when we can reduce paper and destruct it and go digital, that would be wonderful. And this is more of a temporary nature, this building, is that right? So-
Yeah, it's a metal kit building,
Okay.
but it'll be, even if we don't exhaust all of the space for boxes as we continue to get better and digitize and do all those things, we'll continue to use the space for other things.
Let's retain only what we legally are required to retain. Let's retain the items of special interest. If it's a very cool document from 1950 that established, something in the township, let's set that aside, and maybe you get a history panel together one day and hang it on the wall. But let's organize and clean up a mess that's been a growing mess.
And we're also paying for 2 storage facilities right now as well to house additional paperwork for files and history. So it makes sense.
I call it a government efficiency project. Let's get moving on it.
So that's all I got, Mr. Baker.
Government efficiency.
You don't like that term.
It's an oxymoron.
Take it up with Elon Musk when we see him here in a few months.
Well, I have a different opinion on this. First off, I don't disagree with the need to do something with these documents. Where my disagreement is, rather than putting this money into a building, a structure, I'd rather put this money into an effort to digitize. Because we're always going to have more documents. I agree, let's have less paper. I agree, long-term solution, and I think the answer to both of those is digitizing.
Okay.
So, you know, for that reason, I don't believe this is the best use of these resources.
He wants to run faster than we want to run fast right now. That's what he's just challenging us to. He wants to get it digitized as soon as possible. That's what I'm hearing. Right?
I'd start with current stuff and
So,
kind of work our way backwards.
I like that. I like that.
Mr. Campbell, I got a question for you. You folks are the ones that do all the history and the documentation and organization, mostly, right? I mean, there's other people that have their hands in it, but I get it. And so, it's our vote. However, you're my elder, and you've been here the longest, sitting up here. Would you mind speaking on behalf of what you think is best for the township when it comes to this basically history and documentation of everything that we got? I'm going to kind of submit to you a little bit, and I know at the end of the day it falls on our shoulders. I understand, but I'm just like to.
No, I'd be more than happy to address that, and everything that you guys have talked about is in the plan. We identified over 660 banker boxes to the brim of records, not including what's at the fire station, 48. We pay $220 every month for 2 storage units at Eastside Storage. We have records in the basement of the cemetery. Every storage area that we have in this building in the basement is full. And before we can digitize, we don't even know exactly what all we do have. Our records, our current records are up to date. The police department does a nice job of digitizing their stuff. I agree with that piece of it. But my idea is to get everything in one central location, get it organized by year, and then start going through that to see what we actually need to digitize and what we can legally dispose of. But right now, we don't have that. So to go in and try to digitize before you get it separated is putting the cart before the horse, in my humble opinion. I think this is money well spent. We can utilize this building at a later point when we get the records cleaned up, and you want to, you know, use it on site or move it. I mean, the police department's looking for storage. You know, this township has really grown, and if you look at, you know, the records we create every day, I mean, you know, just today, I'm gonna put this many records in the folders tonight. That's just one day. Not counting all the records requests, the police department, all their records, all the files from Mark's office with zoning. I mean, we're busting at the seams. And I think it's an absolutely great use of the money to do it. I hope that helps.
Mr. Wright, how many square feet is the building?
So the building is approximately 2,500 square feet. We have the ability, the way it's designed, because it's a kit, that we could basically, Matt, basically put an L on it, that would be another 2,500 square feet.
5,000 square feet. You could double it.
You could double it up to 5,000.
So 73,000?
No, 2,500 now, and then.
No, dollar-wise.
Yeah, 73,000. The bulk of that's, I think, what, it's about 40% in the slab? Is that what, yeah, that's, a lot of it's concrete.
So, okay, so do we, the Ferguson building, are we 100% occupied right now?
We are not, but as you know, that building generates revenue for the township.
How many square feet do we
About
still have?
5,000 square.
5,000 square
About
feet?
5,000 square feet off the top of my
Can we
head.
use the 5,000 square feet as our own location, our own facility for these records? And satisfy the interests of Mr. Becker there and Mr. Campbell with having a dedicated off-site building to be able to take the records, organize them, and then execute the digitation plan out of that, take the money Mr. Becker's talking about that we would save here and put it into digitizing as soon as we can.
Well, so my answer to that question is there are trade-offs.
Okay.
That 5,000 square feet, we actually got an inquiry on that today from a tenant, from a prospective tenant. In that space, it could generate.
$6,000 a month?
Oh, no, it could generate, what, about 15, is it $15 a foot, Mark? Over $15 a foot, square foot? So that could generate a lot of money, you know, for the township in terms of revenue over the course of the year. And then if you do that, you know, that helps offset the cost of that building. As you know, West Claremont has a significant footprint in there, and we've used the leasing function to help offset that cost. So there's trade-offs. So to that end, yeah, I mean, but if you forego that, essentially I would look at that as almost a quasi-permanent move, because once we go through the exercise of moving the boxes, deploy the resources, deploy the personnel, you're not gonna wanna move it again.
Where do we want the slab in the temporary building now?
Behind Station 52.
Behind Station 52.
It's kinda out of the way.
Yeah.
It's in a wooded area.
Yeah.
We can put cameras on it. You know, we can run power to it.
You know, and to have full power, have a split, heat, air conditioning
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
unit, so
mini
we keep
splits.
the records, so, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, 15
Not
bucks a
that
foot.
a lot of people will be a fan of the stairs involved here or Chief Clements, but there's a lot of space available on that second floor of Station 53 that's environmentally protected. How many square feet is that roughly up there? It's a lot.
Probably not as big as what Mr. Wright is talking.
Just saying, it's a lot.
So just for reference, at $15.50 a foot, that building could generate close to $87,000. That space could generate $87,000 a year in lease revenue for the township, just at market rates.
Yeah.
So I would prefer to try and use that to offset our cost to acquire and to continue to use that through the CIC as a revenue source for the township. Or if we had another pressing office need, to be able to move in more readily to that, to move people in, because it's a nice building and it would not cost us. I mean, if you go into space, it's a little dusty, it's a little dirty, it needs paint, it needs carpet. It would not cost us, if by chance we needed to move a township operation in there for, let's just say, we had a catastrophic incident at the dispatch center. We could very easily replicate the dispatch center there if we had not leased that space out. Or, and there's just trade-offs. I mean, it's all trade-offs in what you want to do.
Well, I'm asking questions, trying to find a solution here. I want to hear what Mr. Becker has to add to the questions I'm asking for.
Well, I do have one final comment on this. So first, you know, I'm hearing the arguments. These are good arguments in favor of the building. What I can't wrap my head around is, in today's world, with today's technology and movement toward digitizing, which has been going on for freaking decades, why we need to build brick and mortar, so to speak, to store boxes of paper files. It's not clicking for me. Like, my mind's just not going there.
So first of all, I think, you know, what I would say is the bulk of our paper files that you see that are going to be permanent employee records are more or less permanent. We have nearly a whole room downstairs full of past employee records. The fiscal office has nearly permanent records. The zoning department records are essentially permanent, and we keep paper copies and digital copies. And that's something that I actually worked on that previously when I was here, and Mark does a good job keeping those digital copies too. New stuff is all digitized, but there are fundamentally things that we cannot get away from paper. Resolutions, zoning files, people want to pull out a set of plans and look at a set of plans. And the other part is, you have boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes. I was working with Lisa to get some cost on records, you know, digitizing, and you can send off your records and do, you know, searchable records, and they can search them. I think on the low end, you're at $250,000 today, based on the volume that we have. And it's probably much more than that. And that's garbage in, garbage out. The biggest component with digitization of records is it's garbage in, garbage out. You can have the best software program in the world, you can have the best scanner, the fastest scanners, but ultimately you have got to have somebody coding those records when you put them wherever you're going to put them. Because if you don't sort them, you're never going to be able to find them. And so whatever we do is going to be labor intensive. It doesn't, even if there's technology involved, it's still labor intensive. So if you farm it out to a company, they'll scan what you give them, and it's all searchable. And, you know, you could look up, you know, search term like development or fire department. You might find every record, or, you know, fire run or post office receipt, whatever. I mean, but it may or may not come up. And we actually have records management software here that we bring stuff in. I mean, it's called, what is it, Global Search is what it's called? And I mean, Mark scanned stuffs into it, we were scanning permits into it. I mean, and it's, but again, if you don't code it right when you put it in, you're never gonna find it. And that's, whatever you do with records, there are still, I mean, until they have robots that can read and make decisions on their own, you're always gonna pay people to archive your records. So that's just my take on it.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, this is where it's gonna take a little bit of a fun twist.
All right.
There's several companies now, but I know at least one example of a company that, like Mr. Wright is saying, digitizes, brings in your records, but they're deploying utilizing artificial intelligence, and their company name is Yurt. And so what they would fundamentally be able to do for the township is house all the data that is digitized and scanned in, utilize their artificial intelligence on it, and then basically give us a tool set that on our website, when someone comes to it, they get the little chat box or how may I help you box, and you can type in a question, and you can have natural language processing interaction with it to answer it based off of our 70, 80 years of history. I like that when we talk about digitizing records and where we actually go. And then that way it takes something away from staff to where someone go to the website and they want to ask a question, they want a records request, because that's demanding transparency, right? That it's boom, it's right there. As we create the records, they go there. So, I see the looks on both faces here, but I mean, that's where I envision the future going, so.
I think Mr. Logue suggested we just move everything to Chief Clemens' office and call it a day. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I got nothing further.
Was that a motion?
I've got no further discussion. I'm good.
You good?
Oh, but I'm sorry. I strongly cannot go to the Ferguson property. Like Mr. Wright said, we throw it there, but then we have a tenant that wants to come in with it and move it all again.
Okay.
And then there's always talks of if we should just dump that property and let private business come in and take it over, which I'm in favor of. And then if that's the case, we got to move it all out again. So Ferguson, to me, is off the table for my vote, but I'm ready to vote.
Let me ask a question. What's the timeline to start digitizing and when we can get this done?
Well, I mean, we continue to digitize new stuff
Right, but the
every
old
day.
stuff.
Old stuff, I mean, the biggest thing, and in talking with Lisa, and she's actually done some of this at their prior employer, is you have to know what you have. So you have to sort of get into the boxes and have a place to sort them.
So we don't have a timeline or schedule? Right?
No, but I think that, I think that if I'm able to have a place where I can put everything in one place and be able to sort stuff and identify things for destruction or archival or whatever, that will enhance our ability to do that, as opposed to go down to the cemetery and just grab a box. It's like a lottery pick. What am I getting today? And then you don't even know what's in the box. And that way you can actually do some sorting and some all of that. Because again, it all goes back into your retention schedule that you have. So again, this is the boring side that people really don't, I mean, but there's, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I mean, looking at retention schedules and looking at files and files and files is not fun, but it's something that has to be done.
Yeah.
So.
And Chief, you really don't want us to put it up on the second floor of Station 53?
We, probably since you've been there last, there's been some movement with some of our other supplies already going up there. So then we'd have to build a building to put all that stuff in, so. I don't think that would be the most effective use of that space, but I don't get a vote here.
I don't think the chief's on board.
Mr. Becker, do you think that you can support this effort?
No, I intend to vote no on this.
Is there a way to get you to a yes?
Not tonight.
It's okay. We have 2-1s all the time, or 1-2 or whatever. It's all right.
Okay.
No worries. We're all friends.
Is there any big points you want to leave either of us, or?
I've said everything I've got to say on the topic.
Okay.
And unless you have something else, I'm ready to call for a vote.
Okay. I got trust and faith in Mr. Campbell.
As
and
do
what,
I.
and what
We
he
just
wants
have a
to do
difference of
for,
opinion.
and what he wants to do for the, no, and I don't think that, I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying. Just saying,
okay.
I'll defer and err on the side of caution, in which I will give more, rope and grace there to the way Mr. Campbell wants to handle this.
What happens if we do an abstention vote. Joke, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Both you abstaining? It's too late, you weren't allowed to have a discussion.
Let's go, let's roll, let's roll.
All right, that was good. All right, I think we're done here. Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you.
Hey, it's nothing personal. All right.
Chief Reese
I want to
is
find a good
not
solution.
sweating anymore, or I'm sorry, Chief Clemens isn't sweating anymore.
I mean, I know you guys like those stairs and stuff, that we can make a fundraiser out of it, and Mr. Dills can throw a couple boxes on his back in one haul.
Okay, that was 2024 47, is that right? Or was that 48?
47.
That was 47. Okay, so we're on to 48. Mr. Wright.
Thank you, sir. This is a resolution establishing and describing the boundaries of the Union Township Community Reinvestment Area in the township and authorizing and approving related matters. So there's several steps we have to do. So the first thing is you have to establish by resolution the Community Reinvestment Area, which has to, by law, even with the changes to Senate Bill 33, exclude those areas which were already in prior county CRAs. So this does that. So there's an Exhibit A that excludes all parcels that are in prior designated county CRAs. The second thing you have to do, to do that is a housing study, which we completed a housing study. It demonstrates that we need to incentivize investment in housing in the township as compared to our peer communities. And so the program is geared toward that. So what does this resolution do? This sets the boundary. It's basically across the township. Many communities will do that and have the whole area in that. And then the resolution basically is a little different than a lot of resolutions in that it does not include reinvestment or remodeling. It's only for new projects, and it's to drive high-end projects that are, in excess of $500,000, $500,000 per household. And it also has specific conditions that are attached to it that replace the revenues that might be offset with the abatement strategy to assist in the schools, fire, police, service, roads, maintenance, township operations, all of those things. So this is not approving an agreement. This is just putting another tool in the toolbox here. And then once we adopt it, we have to publish for 2 weeks, and then we have to send a copy, I think, up to the state of Ohio, which we will do all those perfunctory things, and there'll probably be some reporting if we do have agreements. Notably, you'll see that there's some very stringent, specific conditions in the legislation that, so not everybody's going to be able to take advantage of this, and that's by design, so.
Very good. Mr. Logue, I would like a motion to approve, or
So
adopt, I should say, Resolution 2024-48.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to hear if you gentlemen have anything to share or add.
Mr. Wright, so just for layman's terms, this is targeting for single-family homes, not apartments,
Well, so.
correct?
Well, so if residential, you have to address it all in the ordinance or resolution. So if you look, there's sections that talk about single-family residential, and then you also have to apply a per-door value for multifamily. There is the mixed-use development component for JED purposes, things like that. But again, the entire process is discretionary, if you look at it. And there's a section in here with respect to residential, just a residential development agreement obligation. And so that is upon the administrator to even negotiate that. So it's not automatic. And so these are going to be projects, these are going to be community-driven projects. And again, the whole point of this is to replace those revenues, that to allocate those in a manner that are responsible and recognize our partnership with the schools, recognize that the township has, some obligations that we have to do to serve those things. And it also includes commercial and industrial development too. So,
Cool.
Yep.
And then, so you hit the nail on the head with the schools. Schools will be made whole. Obviously, no additional taxes. Police and fire, not an issue for them. As far as if, for example, new subdivisions built in, when we're doing this, can the police and fire
So,
handle.
so the way that this would work is you would have, there's a couple of mechanisms. You have the CRA, and then you have the ability to participate in what's called a new community authority, where you do replacement millage. And then you can allocate those millages based on what, to what and for what. And so again, that's going to come back to us. That helps us offset infrastructure costs. It helps us offset our police and fire on an ongoing and continuing basis. Again, it helps us negotiate with the schools to get them revenue. And again, something I would point out is that in Union Township, it's completely different than a place that has a lot of land and very easy access, and it's easy to build things. Here, the bulk of our development is going to be challenging development because all the easy parcels to do new housing are gone. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, the parcels are going to be more difficult. They're going to be more challenged. There's a reason they're still out there on the market.
Yeah.
They have topographic challenges. They have land configuration challenges. They have infrastructure challenges. And again, we see that every day when we talk about projects. I need a 1,500-foot water line, or I can't, because at the end of the day, the economics don't work to build. You can only charge so much for a lot.
Sure.
And it's based on predominantly on what the value of the house is. And again, the whole point of this is to drive high-end, the rising tide theory, rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Good job explaining it. Well done.
I still got maybe I'm a little confused. I guess something I want to verify, or what I thought was the case. Maybe I'm wrong. So when it comes to zoning changes, those are going to be things we're going to vote on in the future?
yeah, it's totally separate. Zoning changes are totally separate from this. You do not,
Okay.
yeah, this does not have anything to do with zoning.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
That
this
was
is-
what I thought.
No, yeah.
I just want to make sure we're not
No.
locking us into
Nope.
something that's going to make some changes that we're not understanding. It doesn't sound like it's the case.
No. This zoning is an entirely separate process altogether. Land use entitlements are completely different from incentive and abatement programs.
Okay.
So,
This sounds like it has a lot of great potential. If I'm understanding it correctly, it sounds like a pretty good deal. It has a lot of potential to be.
it
Mr.
does have
Lowe,
potential.
Any other, come with any thoughts, questions?
Kind of more history there, unless I'm gravely mistaken, but the CRA was what we lobbied for and pushed for with the state over the last year and a half, to get this moved forward so that we could have a benefit of it. So it's really, the fruit of the upfront diligence and work that we pushed on our state reps and state senators and our deployed our lobbyists to be able to help push. So, other than that, happy to see us have that opportunity.
I guess one last thing I want to, reiterate with all this. We're not somehow tying our hands or forcing any kind of, that there's legislation in place that we have to have X amount of multifamily housing, nothing like that. Okay, there's no surprises here.
Nope, no surprises here.
All right, you're
Plain
making me feel
language.
good.
Nope,
We're good.
the plain language is, and again, it's totally discretionary. It's discretionary on our end, and it's discretionary if somebody wants to inquire if they want to do it. If they don't want to participate in the terms and conditions of, the NCA, the replacement millage, the NCA fees, if you're in a mixed-use district, a JED for the township, you can go do it on your own.
Okay.
This is just a way for us to tackle difficult projects and to maybe, incentivize that high-end, single-family development. So,
Sounds great. Okay, any final comments?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Wright, tell us about Resolution 2024-49.
well, this is a fun one. This is a nuisance abatement. I know they aren't all fun, but this is a good story. This is a property at 4472 Timber Chase. It's a nuisance abatement. Pretty simple, has a lot of garbage, debris. It appears that they don't have trash service, lots of garbage bags in the backyard, but inspection story. And this is, if you ever get the chance to talk to Mr. Berkey, he has lots of fun inspection stories. So we got a call on this, we go out, respond. Mr. Berkey comes and tells me I smell decomposition. And I think, and the house is open, so we obviously, the chief goes over, we check on it. There is a half-eaten or decomposed deer carcass in the yard along with 70 bags of garbage.
But no dead bodies?
But there was no dead body.
Good.
So that was positive, but never a dull moment in the life of a zoning inspector. So obviously, if you drive by it from the street, it doesn't look that bad. You get around the back of it, piles and piles and piles of trash. So this abatement process, as you know, gives them notice. We publish in the paper. If we have to go in, we do one last inspection, and then we tag the assessment to the property. So get it cleaned up one way or the other.
Yeah, and for the public, I drive by and look at all these. And when I drove by this one, I contacted Mr. Wright and I said, it looks fine to me, I don't see any problems. And then I got an earful. So, you just don't see it from the street. All right, any further comments? Mr. Lowe, Mr. Dills?
No.
All right, let's move forward with the vote.
You gotta make a motion.
We didn't do a motion. You're right. Mr. Logue, I would like a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-49 as described by Mr. Wright.
So moved. Your
Second.
motion.
Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for that, Mr. Dills. Which brings us to comments from the board members. Mr. Logue, you want to go first? I always call him Mr. Logue because he's the vice chairman. I'm not picking on him every meeting. Vice chairman goes first.
It's a good structure that, frankly, both you gentlemen, you came on the board, kind of adopted and do some things a new way. Like it anyway, so. No, just enjoying the back-to-school season for the community. I know that it'll be right around the corner here for Halloween, and just excited for all the family-friendly activities that have been going on in the community, and they're going to wrap up. And just excited for the trajectory and path of Union Township. You guys are doing great work. The staff is just doing wonderful across the board from every department, and it's just very nice to be able to see the staff just executing. And I hope that we're giving them the right resources they need and balance that well with representing the residents of the community.
Mr. Dills?
Yeah, just, I agree with everything you said, Mr. Logue. Mr. Becker, I wanted to say that, we are not, and we do not talk about how we will vote, don't vote, whatever. So if you feel like you were blindsided at last month's vote, I do apologize. It was never my intention. Sometimes things are, it is what it is. And so hopefully you didn't feel that way as my colleague. And I could not, in my opinion, tell you how I was or was not, or abstaining or whatever. And just crystal clear, our law director said you can vote, but he's like, I advise against it. Roger that. Okay. So, it's funny because if I would have voted a yay or nay on it, I feel like I would have gotten in some bad PR on that for having a potential conflict, and I chose to take the safe way and didn't. So just want to apologize if I felt blindsided. It's not my intention at all. So that's, all good. So, yeah, just to let you know that. So anyways, as far as everything else, no, I feel good. We're in a good place. We got, I'm excited for the fireworks coming up. And that's, the whole parking lot on Jungle Gyms is always just packed. And love it out there. So that's all I got. That's all I got, sir. All good.
So, no apology necessary. So, yeah, I was blindsided. There's a deer in the headlights look. It's like, okay, what do I do now? I've never been in that situation before.
The question on that was, what if it was a 1-1-1 vote? What if you were yes, Logue was a no, and I abstained? Still same thing, but regardless.
Yeah, so it's my understanding, because it was a zoning case, we must act to overturn the will of the zoning commission.
Correct.
And if we don't act, then it goes into place, I think, within 20 days. It's my understanding. So frankly, how I voted or didn't vote, or if all three of us abstained, wouldn't have mattered, is my understanding of that. But yeah, I didn't know, really had no way of knowing you two are going to abstain. That would have been, Had I known in advance, I would have just known how to handle it. And the questions I've since asked and gotten answered since then, I would have preferred knowing that all before the meeting. But I didn't know that was going to happen. You guys aren't allowed to give me a heads up on that, so, you know, it is what it is, no problem.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So my other, you know, I guess comments beyond that was something I got thinking about during the, when we were having the discussion over the, you know, the storage facility and digitizing records. So not associated with really any of that directly, but it was more the discussion that we had up here. So when I was a state representative for 8 years, I attended these meetings routinely, and if I wasn't here in the room, I was watching them on video. I can't remember one time, not one time, during that entire 8 years, or since then, there's ever been any kind of robust discussion on this board. Always wondered, how is that possible? How could that happen? We've had a lot of robust discussions up here, and tonight was just an example. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, sometimes a 2-to-1 vote. I'm not offended coming down to the short end of 2-to-1 vote. But what I really like, and what I think the public likes, is the robust discussion that we're having. The arguments for, the arguments against, we disagree, why we disagree. And we disagree agreeably. And with that,
Well said. Yeah.
any final comments?
No, very, very well said. I mean, that's delivering transparency, I believe, in the background as to how the policy, right, translates into vision and gets executed. So, no, I appreciate you sharing that, and I would say likewise, but I hear your response to Mr. Dills. And, let's see, I'll save one aspect, and that's, at one point in time, years ago, I questioned an abstention because of a Bible study and a participant, and I was told, nah, don't do that, because it's precedent. And an individual maybe was bothered by that. And now fast forward, we've got another Bible study, we've got another participant, and maybe you apply their rule to abstain from something, and individuals are still bothered by it. So in this position, all you can do is give transparency, and, you know, people don't always agree with the personality. It may not be the policy. It's picking and choosing the personalities they like or don't like. But we've got to remember that we represent for all of the community. And, you know, I think that staying on a standard is beneficial across the board. So, anyway, appreciate the discussion tonight, gentlemen.
It's a presidential debate tonight, too.
Yes, starts at 9 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah.
All right, so a little housekeeping, folks. So the first thing I'm going to do, or I guess the next thing I'm going to do, is read off 10 events that's coming up. And then we are going to go into executive session, of which I got a couple of pages of verbiage to read about executive session. And then we're going to come back out here without any action taken. We're not going to have any discussion. We're not going to have a vote. We're simply going to adjourn. So if you wish to stay to watch us come out of executive session and adjourn, that's fine. Otherwise, thank you all for coming. And the upcoming events, there's 10 of these. Board of Zoning Appeals will meet on Thursday, October 3rd, 7. There's no zoning commission meeting scheduled for September or October. Board of Trustees' next meeting is going to be October the 8th at 6 p.m. Fire Department will be hosting Fire Prevention Week Open House on October 6th from 11 to 1 at Station 51, that's the water tower. Farmers Market will take place, we got 2 more events of that through September 20th. Township will host another movie night, that's going to be this Saturday, the 14th. And it's going to be at Veterans Park starting at dusk. The movie is Elemental. Mount Moriah Cemetery, the annual lantern lighting event is going to be September the 21st. It's a Saturday from 5 to 7:30. End of summer fireworks celebration. It's going to be Saturday, September 28th. Township offices will be closed for observance of Columbus Day on October the 14th. Fall Junk Days is going to be October 24th through the 26th. And with that, yeah, did I miss something? Go ahead.
Tomorrow's 9/11. Forgot. Tomorrow's 9/11. Yeah, so just make sure to take a moment of silence for tomorrow. Not right now. I'm saying tomorrow when you do that. I forgot tomorrow's September 11th. So, yeah.
And we are going to go into executive session for the following reasons, and this does require a motion. So, Mr. Logue, may I have a motion to do the following? And I'm going to read 2 pages here before I need a response from you. So, let's see, so we're going to executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121-22G as follows. And there's 5 of these, and the 5th one has an A and a B. Gotta love it. The first one, to consider the appointment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official where the investigation and charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121-22G1. Number 2, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121-22G2. The third one, to confer with legal counsel for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121-22G3. The fourth one, preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121-22G4. And the last one is the longest one, and it has a subsection A and a B. To consider confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance, or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance, provided that both of the following conditions apply. A, the information is directly related to a request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under any provision of Chapter 715, 725, 1724, or 1728, or Sections 701.07, 7335.67 through 2735-70, 5709-40 through 5709-43, 5709.61 through 5709.69, 5709.73 through 5709.75, or 5709.77 through 5709.81 of the Ohio Revised Code, or that involves public infrastructure improvements or the extension of utility services that are directly related to an economic development project. And B, a unanimous quorum of the public body determines by a roll call vote that the executive session is necessary to protect the interests of the applicant or the possible investment or expenditure of funds, public funds, to be made in conjunction with the economic development project pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121-22G8. Do I have that motion, Mr. Logue?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
We're into executive session at 7:38 PM.
Okay, we're coming back into, no, I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. Dills,
Yes.
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
we're out of executive session at 9:02 PM.
And what I should have mentioned is that there has been no action taken. And, Mr. Logue, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Logue,
Yes.
Mr. Dills,
Yes.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.